to speak on the list?
My name is Deborah Fidel, and I live at 297 Kruger Road, and I was the neighbor of Ryan Fisher. When I came in December of 2014, and on May 18th, I did not talk to the Duger family about coming to the meeting. I was here as a concerned citizen. I'm here because of the road safety in the town of Wheatfield. I've discussed this issue with other members of the community throughout the years, but after the death of Ryan, I felt I needed to come to the board meeting to ask for some major improvements in this area. At the May meeting, I spoke of needing 30-mile-an-hour speed limit signs on the right side of Kruger Road, running from Niagara Falls Boulevard to Ward Road, as there were no posted signs at all. At the end of the town meeting, Paul Siegman spoke with me, asking me where the signs should be placed. The next morning, 2 30-mile-per-hour signs were posted on Kruger Road, and I'd like to thank Paul for quickly getting this accomplished. Also, I requested signs stating, "Slow down, we love our children." Even though Paul shared that these signs do not show data to prove they lessen accidents, I am still requesting 2 of these signs posted on each side of Kruger Road. I also requested increased sheriff patrols on Kruger Road to implement radar usage and stop sign violations. I want to say thank you to law enforcers as I am seeing their presence in our neighborhood. We are thankful, I'm talking fast because I know I only have 3 minutes. We are thankful these safety measures are being taken, but due to the unsafe shoulder conditions for residents and pedestrians on Kruger Road, Kelly Duger and I developed a petition with a mission. This petition represents an SOS distress call to allow the Wheatfield community to voice concerns about Kruger Road shoulder safety. Judy Romano also joined in helping to canvass the concerns of neighbors. This petition is also supported by Niagara County legislator Catherine Lantz. She agrees that Kruger Road safety improvements are needed and questions about funding needed to be researched and answered. Grant money and borrowed money from the town through a bond issue is presently being used at Fairmont Park. Do we have similar options to fund shoulders on Kruger Road? We feel that our 384 signed signatures of area neighbors show that something needs to be done. Ryan Fisher's life was taken from him at the age of 16 due to the lack of a safe place to walk on Kruger Road. This cannot happen again. I just want to read the premise of our petition because Kruger Road is very unique in Wheatfield. The petition summary. Presently, the road shoulders on Kruger Road are 3 feet wide. I measured them. In the paper, you said at some point they were 4 feet. I couldn't find it. I took my ruler all down. Kruger Road is in need of an additional 4 feet of space, total of 7 feet, similar to Niagara Road in Burkholz and Nash Road, to provide a safe route for walkers, joggers, skaters, bicycle riders, pet walkers, and bus users. There is a bus stop, NFT bus stop, directly across from Kruger Road and Ward. Due to the high volume of traffic, there are 3 stop signs plus an additional stop sign icon located on the right side of the road leading from Niagara Falls Boulevard to Ward. On the right side of the road leading from Ward Road to Niagara Falls Boulevard, there are 5 stop signs plus an additional stop sign icon. This road is unlike any other road in Wheatfield, as there are 2 businesses, Pelicano's Market, their back parking lot entrance, and there's a back parking lot entrance and exit on Kruger Road, and Roselle Construction, trucks and large equipment going by, a children's playground, St. Johnsburg Fire Hall, fire trucks, emergency vehicles, and volunteers using the road, sometimes at a very fast rate of speed, weekly fire hall bingo, and special activities such as wrestling. There is not enough parking for their wrestling. They are on both sides of Kruger. You can't even walk down there. Also, we have 8 streets that begin and end on Kruger Road, as it is the feeder street for this area. This section of the town cannot be considered rural due to the development of new homes over the past 20 years. Also, Kruger Road is the connecting road between 2 major roads, Niagara Falls Boulevard and Ward. Kruger Road needs wider shoulders due to the above-named unique conditions. And that was our premise. Then above our petition, Kelly, do you want to read this? I want you up here. I've been speaking for Kelly and her family for all these months, and she's getting stronger every day. She's going to read it.
Action Petition 4. We, the undersigned, are concerned citizens and residents of the town of Wheatfield who urge our supervisor, Bob Cliff, and board members to act now to increase road shoulders from 3 feet to 7 feet wide shoulders, similar to Niagara Road and Nash Road, on both sides of Kruger Road from Niagara Falls Boulevard to Ward Road, to improve Kruger Road safety for pedestrians and residents in the surrounding community.
And here's a copy of our petition and all of our signatures, and we didn't even finish all the streets. We went out every night for 2 straight weeks, and we received so much support. A lot of people are unhappy on our side of the boulevard. Maybe your side of the boulevard is rural area. Our side, we have a lot of problems with traffic, speed, people passing stop signs. The kids can't even go out in the road. So if you want this, my question is, what do we do now? What's our next step?
It's a good question. One possibility, we need to obviously do some research. We've done some research. Tim, you had taken a look at how much sidewalks would be if we wanted to go to sidewalks. What would that be?
In
Projects that we looked at, it ranged $85 to $100.
Well, in the paper you set up to $700,000 for sidewalks. Also in the paper it was stated for increasing shoulder was, I think, I can't remember.
I think that was Paul.
200,000.
Yeah, I think the increasing the shoulder width, I don't think we were talking 7 feet on each side when you gave us that number, but you had come up with a number back in whatever, February?
I have the newspaper
of about
yes.
$600,000, I think it was.
Yes. About $600,000, and that wouldn't include moving any utilities. Going down, I've been looking at it the last couple of weeks. I know there was an issue, and telephone poles are right there on one side. There's also a water main on that side, so there was some utilities we have to move also.
So what's the price of a light?
It is going to take some work. Deborah, can we have the petition?
Sure.
If you'd give that to the town clerk, Kathy. If you need a copy, we can probably get you a copy. Okay. Thank you. Brian, who's next on the list?
I did mine.
Can we pull the microphone down?
Hi, my name is Summer. I live on Kruger Road. My big brother Ryan died after he was hit by a car on our street. Please make our road safe so no one else gets hurt. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Brian?
Good evening. My name is Catherine Lance. I'm a Niagara County legislator, and I'm also a resident on Kruger Road. I come here tonight not only as a public official, but as a mother, a resident of Wheatfield, and a homeowner. Deborah and Kelly approached me a few weeks ago concerning signing a petition to widen the road on Kruger Road after the untimely death of Ryan Fisher in November, who was struck and killed tragically only about a half mile away from my home. It has always been a concern of mine, the amount of traffic that is generated on one of Wheatfield's main roads. I, more than anyone here, realize the budget constraints of the town of Wheatfield and the concern of taxpayer money. However, we have already paid the ultimate price by losing one of our young residents. I will continue to urge Supervisor Cliff and other council members to take a second look at all these petitions and take steps to make Kruger Road safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Brian?
My name is Louise DeFelice. I live on Winbert Drive, right off of Kruger Road. Kruger Road has been around for a long time. Gone are the days, however, of the occasional horse and buggy ambling down the street or the old Studebaker crossing between Ward and Nash Roads at 20 miles an hour. Transportation has come a long way since then. Development along Kruger Road has also come a long way since the early days of the road. Just in the 25 years since my husband and I built our home on Winbert Drive, which feeds onto Kruger, the traffic patterns have changed dramatically. Today, there are several housing developments that now feed into a narrow Kruger Road from Norman, Bela, Nickett, Graydon, Winbert, DeMatteo, Mavis, Willrose, and Landmark Roads. In addition, Kruger is an alternate route to which police direct traffic when there is a major incident on Niagara Falls Boulevard. A major business, Colton RV, has direct access to Kruger, and we often see those beautiful and very large mobile units taking a spin down the road. And sadly, the most recent development in the history of Kruger is that we have now had a tragic fatality resulting from a young man simply trying to walk along this narrow road at a point where there is no discernible shoulder. All of these factors add up to the fact that we need to take another look at the safety issues for pedestrians walking on Kruger. This process should not be an adversarial one. Rather, it is a safety issue that needs to be addressed, a problem to be solved. It will not be solved by the town board simply saying that a particular, page 2, that a particular solution which someone offers is not feasible. It is not enough to simply continue to say no. It is your responsibility to help find a solution. The recent news about the tragic death in Delaware Park in Buffalo underscores the danger of simply putting a solution to this problem on the back burner. We have already had a fatality. At the very least, we should be installing drainage pipes in the culverts along the road from the corner of Ward and Kruger, corner of Ward and Kruger to the first house, covering them up and thus providing at least some sort of a temporary shoulder to walk on. If our town is in a financial position to be considering building its own library, surely we can find the will and the funds to solve the safety issue and prevent such terrible heartbreak for one of our neighbors.
Thank you. Okay.
Hello, my name is Deborah Litton. I live at 2972 Kruger Road. I have 2 sons that are disabled, have been here for 18 years. I have another gentleman that's disabled that lives with me. 2 of them are not permitted to walk down the street. My son Michael has a 3-wheel bike. He rides it daily. His wheels, as he rides, is actually on the white line. And I asked him to stop riding it. He says, "Mother, I have to get around." He has been here most of his life, and he says it's so sorry that there was a death on our street, and I am so afraid it's going to be my son Michael next. I cannot afford to see this happen. Not again. And so sorry one lost their life, and we've had asked for a long time for a bike path, a walk path, something these people can walk. This community has built up so large since I moved here. When I first moved here, it was a very quiet street. There weren't children. Everybody grew up. I brought my sons here so they'd be safe. Now I'm in dire need of something to be done. I do not want to lose my son. I am so sorry for Ryan. It should never have happened. This traffic, people speed down here. You people don't see it, but I look out my bedroom window every night and watch them speed. They don't quit. They think because there's a long stretch, they can do it. Motorcycles. I watched motorcycles speed by my house. My son had to back up a few times for the cars and for the motorcycles. This cannot happen. We need some help. Never mind how much it costs. I don't care if it costs $1 billion. Do something to protect our children. There are too many now. There are teenagers that walk in threes, cannot walk down that little lane. They have to walk in the road. They're there for their companionship and to be friendly to get to the corner store. There's too much going on. I've talked to a few of the kids to stay out of the road. They said there's no place to walk. Something must be done drastically. I do not want to lose Michael. And I cannot stop him from riding there. He has to get around to his duties that he does in the neighborhood. He's a member of the fire hall, and he drives there every day just to help out. Now, I'm hoping the town would see it to help my son out and to help the rest of the children in their neighborhood. There are older people that walk the neighborhood. Something's going to happen again. This must be stopped now. It must be. So I pray, and I'm hoping you'll do something.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This isn't about Kruger Road, it's about what's relevant to this town on sewer sludge. As you know, many times I quoted from the EPA's about what's in it, but I never had the technical paper. It took me a good 5 months to get it. And you'd be surprised if I present this to the town, this report. It's the EPA's technical report on what's in sewage sludge. And to highlight it, so I don't want to get into it because it's very vague. I'm not vague. It's very encompassed. 72 pharmaceuticals, 27 metals, 25 steroids, and all of the flame retardants. And when you go to this technical report, the steroids, analyte, and there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 50 or better. That's only one that's in there. The steroid and hormone, cholesterol D, 17A ethyl estradiol, pharmaceuticals, about a good 50 to 70. Oxacillin, ofloxacin. And I won't belabor you any longer, list the whole thing. And the anions in there, the metals. Here's the metals in there. They're only required to test for 9 metals, or 10 metals. That's right. Aluminum, antimoney. The Attorney General's filing suit against the toy industry because they're so harmful to the children. Arsenic, barium, beryllium, boron, cadmium, thallium, yttrium, vanadium, tantalum, a whole bunch. 27. And they come to this town to say that biosolids is safe. And what does the DEC do? I wonder if they read this report. This isn't mine. The EPA put it out. And it goes a lot deeper and deeper. So I'm going to present this report to the town. It's the Targeted National Sewage Sludge Survey Sampling and Analysis Technical Report. North Tonawanda Sewer Plant was on the target. Buffalo Sewer Plant was on the target. And yet these people have nerve enough to come into this town and tell us how they're going to protect the farmer and cut their costs. I don't believe the ludicrous, especially to the DEC. I wonder whose side the DEC is on. Now, the DEC says their mission is to conserve, improve, and protect the New York natural resource environment and to prevent, abate, and control water, land, and air pollution in order to enhance the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the state and their overall economic and social well-being. DEC's goal is to achieve this mission through the simultaneous pursuit of environmental quality, public health, economic prosperity, and social well-being. You call them up and talk to them, it's a big joke and a big laugh.
Yeah, when you talk to them, it's pretty obvious which side they're on.
That's right. And then another thing I'd like to point out. Unfortunately, Quasar Energy had a little problem in Ohio. It's a shame how it happened. And I'm going to give this paper article to you. One of their plant managers was 50 foot off the ground.
I heard about it.
And he got killed because he had violated OSHA regulations. Now, if you go 10 feet off the ground, OSHA says you have to have a safety harness. I got to laugh. I mean, I don't believe what these people are smoking, to tell you the truth. And it's pathetic. And I'll let you go with that there, and I'll let you decipher the rest.
Okay. Are you going to give us that, John?
You have it. Took me 5 months to get it.
As you know, we do have a consultant. And he'll take a look at it.
This is for the
Okay.
Clarence Darrell.
All right.
Okay?
Very good.
Read about this poor guy. I feel sorry for the man. 50 feet of ground, a lousy $200 harness. He's not alive today.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for your work.
Brian, anything else?
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
First of all, I just wanted to, I have a few questions. I'll just give you all the questions and you can address them. The first thing is I wanted to find out, Mr. O'Toole, are you retiring? And if you are, how this will affect the Quasar hearing and lawsuit and your ability to support that. The second thing is, I brought this up a while ago and I just wanted to readdress it. Quasar is self-regulating. Their industry is self-regulating, and every year they're supposed to report all the shipments that they receive into their plant to the DEC, and then in turn share them with you. I wanted to know if you've received that. If you haven't received it, to please request it. I brought this up a while ago, and at that time you hadn't received it, so I wanted to find out about that. The third thing is when you hired CRA as a second engineer, I brought out that Quasar also hires CRA for things and requested that documentation be put into the planning board minutes for all applicants, who the applicant is and who's representing that. So for those people that want to go to the planning board meetings and can't, it's all there. I noticed that our zoning board minutes include the name and address of any applicant, so I think for consistency, it would be nice if we could do that, if you could take care of that. And then the next thing I wanted to just add on a different topic is I see that there's a public hearing and the boulevard zoning is going to be addressed, and that's going to be on the 29th. Is the proposal posted on the website, or is that available yet? I didn't see it. I could have missed it, but I just wondered if you have
Talking about the
it.
proposal for the rebuilding of the section of Niagara Falls Boulevard?
It just said that there was a public hearing on June 29th. I thought it was rezoning.
No, that's actually not, that's a public
Different issue.
information meeting. That's not a public hearing. The purpose of that is just to get some public input to see if there's any question with respect to potential changes in use. It'll take up too much time to explain.
Oh, that's fine. I just wondered if there was a proposal posted.
Our task force hired a planner to go over Niagara Falls Boulevard to take a look at the way it's presently zoned and make recommendations as to how it might be zoned otherwise. He's done his work, so now we want him to present his work not to us. That's already happened. We now want him to present it to the public. It's not a public hearing ready to vote on the changes. It's strictly a public information meeting so we can get information back from the public, back from the people that live on the boulevard and people who have businesses on the boulevard to let us know what they're thinking.
Okay, so that's an information session, not
That's a public
hearing.
information meeting, right?
Okay. And the rest of it?
It would not be an action that we're in a rush to take.
Okay. And then my other questions?
Okay?
Well, I can respond, I guess, to the first question, yes, I am retiring as town attorney at the end of the month.
Okay.
Although I am not retiring from practice, I'm actually going to return to the full-time private practice, and I've got an office in Buffalo that a partnership that I've formed. I'm looking forward to that. Jacob Fleischman will certainly continue to ably represent the town, and
Right.
you know, whoever the new town attorney would be would work closely with them. And I'm still going to be around. I still live in Burkholz. I'm not.
I didn't know if that
moving.
would change your ability of what you can be asked to do. Do you know what I mean, in terms of any legal,
Well, I'm not going to be the
restraint.
town attorney, so I wouldn't be directing or coordinating litigation. That's for sure. But if anybody has questions, I'm certainly available. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'll be here.
Okay. And then the regulation, the list of everything. We know that they're still getting shipments in from Drain Doctor. That's one. But, you know, we'd like to see the list of where everything came from.
Yeah.
So you'll request it. I take it you haven't received that?
No.
Okay. And you can request it then?
Okay.
All right. That's it for me. Thank you.
Brian?
Good evening. I was wondering if there's anything new on Cobblestone.
Not to my attention.
Haven't heard anything? Okay. And once you do hear from them, how will you notify the residents? Will it be posted in the paper that there's a public information meeting on it?
I think that would depend upon what we hear. When they're ready to present the answers to the questions that we gave, and they're quite, I think there were about 4 pages worth of questions that each has to have a response.
Right.
Then we will make it public.
Okay. So would it be letters again or in the paper? Do you think?
That's a reasonable question. The paper is our normal way, but we'll make sure everybody's aware of it.
Okay. And the Gary DiMatteo Nature Preserve, our backyard, just let you know that it's doing really well. It's thriving. There's deer again. There's turkeys and ducks and geese. And 2 of our neighbors have spotted a bald eagle. So I just need to get some pictures of the bald eagle out back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Brian? Okay, is there anybody who has not signed up that wishes to speak on any subject before the board? If not, then we'll move along. Kathy, for the record, all board members are present. We do have a set of minutes for the May 18th meeting. Does anybody wish to move these in for approval?
So move.
Second. Moved by Randy, second by Gil. Is there anything on the question? Anything that anybody wishes to change or modify?
I had a question on the last page, the request made by local farmers not to burn Chinese lanterns. And it said that there was problems with equipment and animals. I thought the problems with burning of farmland.
Yeah.
So I don't know if equipment was the right word there, but I think farmland was I think Gil Doucette brought it up.
Well, you could get fires also, but yeah, it gets in their equipment and their animals are eating it, so that,
Yeah,
what
and
she
I
said
thought
was...
the initial issue was that they were actually burning...
It could start a fire.
It was starting fires.
I guess we could add that
Okay.
to it, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion.
It doesn't need to be changed, that's fine.
Randy or Gil, do you want to change your motion to add that? Pardon?
I think it's okay.
Okay. Anything else? If not, then all in favor of the minutes then as modified, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. We do have vouchers. We have a total of $360,516.59. The voucher numbers are 2015-0856 through 0986. Does somebody wish to move those in for payment?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? Any bills that anybody wishes to hold? And anybody who's in favor of getting those paid signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Paul Sigmund, what's going on in Highway?
We're still doing our patching around town, slow going, we're gonna start doing paving, if you see pavement parked on your road, but appreciate it, cars off the road, cars parked on the road. I don't really wanna have to letter every house on the road when we go to pave it. You'll see a roller show up, you'll see the paver parked in a field. If that's the case, you can, during the hours of 7 to 4, you just keep the cars off the road and make it better for us.
Do you notify anybody, do you notify residents when there's, when you're gonna be paving a road?
Usually we put up road work measurements and stuff like that. Do I put a mailing out? No, I don't.
Anything for Paul?
How did your little blacktop milling project go with the Boy Scouts?
Very well. We had 5 companies that donated a truck and a driver. On Saturday morning, one of my guys came in, donated his time to load the trucks, and the Boy Scouts were thrilled to death with the millings. Makes a big difference to them. They work on a low budget down there. They don't have a lot of extra money, so something like that goes a long way.
And it was very, very helpful that 5 businesses.
Yes, I have 5 names. I don't have it with me. We're going to send out a thank you to them.
Okay, thank you.
Rich Donner.
Nothing to report. Just out doing fire hydrant maintenance and grinder tank maintenance.
Anything for Rich? Hopefully it'll stay dry. It's been nice to see some dry weather this year. Mike Rinaldi, Recreation.
Good evening. First, I want to thank the Garden Club for all the work they do around the park, the flower beds they do along Nash Road, the flower beds here at the community center, and the flower beds at the youth center. They usually don't do the youth center, but this year it's looking really nice. I want to publicly thank them for all their efforts. My guys got the mulch down for them last week, so it's a finished product. Secondly, Fishing Derby Saturday, June 20th. Usually see Art and Larry out there. It's for seniors over 55, children under 16. Starts at 10 a.m. We'll have coffee, prizes, lunch. We usually have a pretty good turnout, and the weather's been pretty relatively good recently.
One question on that, Mike.
Yes.
I had a couple of adults, elderly folks, ask me if they had to have a fishing license to go with their grandchildren.
Publicly, yes. I'm not going to be looking for one.
I understand. I just wanted to know what the answer was.
If the DEC comes out, you're on your own.
I think they do sell a one-day license, so if any, you don't have to buy a whole season. But they do. If anybody does ask, I think
Do
there
we
is
do
a
that up
one-day
here?
license, isn't
Yeah,
it,
see Kathy. She'll take care of you.
Town clerk has a.
And bring your own
special
fishing pole, too. We don't have that for you. We're still accepting applications for summer camp. We're full on a bunch of days, so if you need some type of care for your child this summer, I strongly recommend getting in now. We kind of capped it at 60. We got a waiting list on some days. We'll probably take them if we don't get too many more. We're pretty firm on 60 for field trip days, only for busing and staff ratios. But we're excited about that program. It's been going for a few years now, and we're taking it to a whole new level this year. We're running a tennis camp July 6th to 11th. The younger division's already sold out. Registrations are done for that. We have several spots at the older division, 11 to 16, and that'll go from the 6th to 11th. It starts at 8 a.m. and goes until noon. And then our website launch date got pushed to the 15th, Kathy? We're working really hard on that. We want to make it, ready to go when it goes live. So we're tweaking a few things, colors and whatnot, and placements of things. But we're really excited, all the department heads. Kathy's been working really hard on it, so I'm excited. It'll be really useful for our department especially because we can start running registrations on there, and that'll make things a lot easier for you.
Tell them a little bit about social media and how baseball, softball games, rainout notices, maybe.
Well, that part of it's real nice because I can set up an alert notice. When you log on the website, you create a profile, you pretty much dictate the content that you receive. So if you are a coach, if you are a parent, and your kid plays baseball, your kid plays softball, you can get an alert. As soon as I set it up and say you sign up to be just on the recreation list, I send out an alert to all the people signed up to that. It'll instantly tell you game's canceled. Like tonight, that's what I would have done. I would have set it up. We would have called the coaches, called the umpires, put it up on the website, but you also would have received either an email or a text. I'm not sure how it's set up just yet, but you will be notified instantly when we make that decision.
So your phone budget will be a little less next year?
I hope so. No, we'll still have that line, just in case, because people still call it.
Just kidding.
Thank you, Mike, for all you do. You had a tournament yesterday, a makeup tournament. How'd that go?
It went really well. The teachers run a tournament in Niagara County. They run a charity tournament. I'm not sure what the charity was this year, but the teachers get together, and there's usually like 7 or 8 teams, and they play a double elimination tournament on a Sunday in June. Got washed out last week. We got lucky this week, and they had a great afternoon for it.
You did get it in?
Yep.
Good. Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Building inspector, Mike Clark. Anything for Mike? Bridget? Anything for the assessor? Okay. Arlene, seniors. Did we? I assume you won that walk, right? Really? Thank you. Wendell, Tim? You can sit back there with Bridget and Mike.
I got a question. How are we doing with the bid, you come up with bid documents for the community center and the gymnasium?
We actually have some preliminary sketches that one of our architects has done later on this week.
Tim, I'm sure nobody can hear you. Can you get up to the mic, please?
Yes, we have a couple of preliminary sketches that our architect who's running the project is going to get together with Mike later on this week and meet and just go through the systems and the types of connections that we're proposing to use for those. We get the go-ahead and agreement on that, then they're going to proceed with those full designs. So.
All set? Yep. Thank you, Tim. We'll move on to motions, Bob.
All right, the first motion is basically a housekeeping motion whereby the town is basically going to commit to completing the construction of the River Road Trail regardless of the source of funding, and also agreeing that the town will operate and maintain the trail after construction is complete. This is required for the grant that the town filed, grant request with the Niagara County Legislature for additional funding request for River Road Trail Phase 2. And I think you have some, we finally got the contract in.
We finally have the contract from New York State for the beginning step, the beginning grant, if you will, the $1.1 million from federal government, from Scenic Byways grant for the Greenway Trail. It's only the first of several that we're going to need to finish the trail, but it's a nice start. Finally, it took us 2 years to get this far after it was approved. It took 2 years to get here. Okay. Does anybody wish to make this motion on the Greenway Trail?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, moved by Larry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. With this, if I can ask this, Bob, with this, if we use the wording that we agree to get this completed, what happens if we don't get the additional funding we need?
If we get this is something that we're going to be giving to the ad hoc committee of the Niagara County Legislature, so if they don't give the funding, we're not bound.
Well, it says, whereas regardless of whether or not the funding is obtained, irrespective of the source of funding, we're committed to it.
Other funding. That's not the, we could put other funding, not including,
because this motion has to do with if we get the Greenway Trail funding from the county.
Okay, let's add not including funding from Niagara County.
If we don't get any funding from the county, it's probably not going anywhere.
After, regardless of whether or not other funding, comma, not including funding from Niagara County is obtained.
Okay.
In this third whereas.
So that we can still opt out
if they don't give us, yes.
If we do not get any help from the county. Okay. Larry and Randy, you willing to make that change?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're dealing with the modified motion. Anything further on this motion? If nothing further, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That is approved.
Next motion is to hire Michael Richbart as tennis instructor and Caleb Kish as a youth center aide.
So moved.
Moved by Gil, second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is to award a contract to Ron Woods to seal and stripe the Town Hall complex for a price of $8,650. He was the low bidder of 3 written quotes.
Moved by Art.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. On the question, Mike, you had taken a look at that. Can you please explain to us what is covered by this sealing and striping? Mike, I hate to do it to you, but these meetings are being taped and there's no chance for anybody to hear it on the podcast.
Okay, he's going to hot patch around the drains, clean and blow off debris, seal coat all blacktop, which includes the road out in front here, the parking lot out in front here, the loop around in front of the community center heading towards the youth center, and then all 3 lots. And then he's going to restripe as is. And I think we talked about adding in like an arrow coming in and behind the building, and then one just to get traffic going in the right direction.
If we're going to put the parking the same way it is now, angular, it makes sense to go one way to get into that parking and the other way out.
Because it can be a cluster sometimes behind here when people are zooming, like especially on like a Wednesday afternoon when there's court going on. It's crazy. Try to stay away.
Yep.
So when you say town hall complex, they're doing the community center, the youth
It's
center,
everything, yeah.
everything.
It's everything.
Did you find out yet?
I haven't heard back from him. I honestly, when I've called him, I've never actually spoken. He's always had to call me back. Like he must just be on the road working. He always calls me back either the next day.
If he's going to charge an appreciable difference, we're probably going to have to come back and get approval from the board.
I figured.
What I asked for is to have this done on a weekend because we're just too busy during the week unless he has some way of magically getting it done half and half or something.
I mean, I would assume he's got such a short season that he would be willing to work 7 days a week, seal coating business. But without confirming, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll assume for the purpose of the award that he's going to be willing to work with you on the timing.
Okay. I'll let you know if that changes.
Okay, anything further on the question? Then all in favor of getting this sealed and striped, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
I think we're gonna skip nobody wants to proceed with the next motion, right, on this? We want to take some time. Okay.
This is gonna take some work.
Yeah. All right, next motion is to approve the hiring of Brandon Sokol and Nicholas Lafredo as summer seasonal help in the highway department.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Moved by Larry, second by Gil. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
I do have two additional motions. One is to post and, if necessary, advertise for a part-time clerk for the town justice court.
I'll go ahead and move. Do we have a second? Moved and seconded, Larry?
I guess the question is this because of a retirement or a...
Resignation, yes. Yeah. It's not a new position.
Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved, Bob.
And I think that we also need, unless our highway superintendent can say that we've already have, did we do a motion previously to advertise for labor positions in the highway department, or? We did.
Motion to open for hired laborers. I did not ask for another one to advertise. That's the way you guys want to do it. I figured as long as we gave you the motion to hire two laborers, that would cover advertising for them and it did get filled in house.
I think Kathy has the actual wording here.
I'm looking, I think it was, and I can go back and look, that to advertise through internally first, then other departments, and publicly if needed.
So we can go out publicly if all needs to go out.
Yeah, it's
All right.
not on this one, but it was on the last one, but I remember reading.
All right.
There was no response internally from within my department or any other department in town to transfer.
All right.
Okay, so
Good.
we don't need that
We
motion.
don't need it.
Okay. Member items. Larry?
There was a meeting at the Wendellville Fire Department back on May 22nd of this year, and there was also one on August of last year regarding the what National Fuel Gas and Empire State Pipeline are calling their Northern Access Project 2016. And there's two controversial phases of that most of what the public hearing is about. Town of Pendleton is getting a compression station to compress the gas to put it under more pressure, and the town of Wheatfield was getting a dehydration station to take the moisture out of the natural gas so that when it goes to Canada, Canada has stricter restrictions on gas that comes into Canada, and they will only allow it in it if it's below a certain moisture content. So that's why the dehydration unit had to be put in. But there's actually a third issue here, and off of Shawnee Road, Nottingwood Drive, and on Shawnee where Concord this pipeline was already in place, and what they're going to be doing is just lifting out a 16-inch pipe and putting in its place a 24-inch pipe that will have more pressure. But what happened there a few years ago, and Supervisor Cliff and the fire departments, I think, are well aware of, about 3 years ago, a valve or a part of that pipe broke loose, and they evacuated all of the residents in that area. It didn't explode. It was just an awful lot of gas seeping out of a small valve or something over a short period of time. I don't know how many. Richie, do you remember how many hours that lasted? But I think I was told several hours.
Didn't it take about an hour for it to calm down once they started turning the pressure down? Any of you guys there? Scott? It took about an hour for it to calm down, and then they had to work on it.
But
And it sounded like a jet engine while it was going. That's how hard the gas was coming out.
We were lucky that didn't explode, because explosions of that type, and you hear about them in Texas and other parts of the country, they take out a square mile. I mean, these things will go And we would have lost all those houses if that thing would have burst into a flame. And that's what we're trying to drill home to FERC. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission was closing their public hearing at the end of May, May 29th. They had the public hearing on May 22nd, and they were closing public hearing on May 29th. Senators Schumer and Gillibrand both extended it. I've had correspondence with Congressman Collins, and he's also on the record as extending the comment period so that people can get more comments in. But I think the people out in that area of Shawnee Road, Nottingwood, are also going to be, because none of those were invited to this last public hearing. FERC sent out notices, and the only notices that went out were to Town of Pendleton residents, because back in August they didn't know where the compression station was going to be located. Other than it was going to be in Pendleton within this 5-mile stretch, they did not know exactly what parcel of land this thing was going to be placed on. And this is a compression pump that's going to be run 7 by 24. They're going to be building some type of a noise house around it so that the amount of noise that comes out of this thing, you're not going to be able to hear it, but there's still going to be noise. And in Wheatfield, Supervisor Cliff was instrumental in getting it moved out of the path of the runway because it was right at the south end of Indicon Drive. And the airport fought it, and I think they got 2 secondary locations for it, but I don't know that it's final where the dehydration station is. Congressman Collins told me that they're pushing to get a Wheatfield public hearing. We don't know when it is, but they'll let us know. I'm sure we'll hear from the energy people also when it is. But that meeting, I think Rich Donner was at that first meeting in August. That meeting was just for both townships. At that meeting, they told us the next meeting they would have 2 meetings, and they would have Wheatfield residents, our issues, Pendleton issues, their issues. Well, this meeting on May 22nd lasted 4 hours. There was 400 people cramped into Wendellville Fire. I don't know if a couple people in here were there or not, but I didn't see many people from Wheatfield there. And I checked on Nottingwood and Concord and Shawnee. None of those, and this pipeline is like 50 feet to 100 feet out their back windows. So, and it's on their property. It's not like they're nearby. This is right on their property. So they're upset out there, and they should be. And as soon as they have another public hearing, I think they're going to know about it. And luckily, we've got a couple of senators and a congressman that seems to be willing to work with the folks out there. So I guess there'll be more to come. End of the deadline. They don't know exactly when it is. They extended it for at least 30 days or more, but the FERC has not told us when the deadline extension is. And FERC, Energy Regulatory Commission, has 5 members, all appointed by the President of the United States. There's no oversight by Congress or Senate. That's all I have.
That's enough. Art?
Yeah, just a couple of quick ones. Mark, do you have a report from the Fire Advisory Board?
Several years ago when they first came out, it was a dry summer, I think it was 2 years ago, wasn't it? The Office of State Office of Fire Prevention Control issued an opinion that Chinese lanterns are actually, once you release them, you're violating the New York State open burn law. In that, the New York State open burn law states that if you're going to start a legal fire, you have to keep control of that fire. With a Chinese lantern, once you release it, you're no longer controlling it. So if somebody releases a Chinese lantern, again, there could be charged in violation of the open burn law, the open burn law, and then in turn will be responsible for any damages that causes.
Interesting.
Found it was interesting. Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting.
Is that it, Art?
No, I got one more. One more piece of good news. I received this from Bob O'Toole. Received a letter from Adam Bardozek, who is with a group called Service Collaborative of Western New York. They contribute material and labor to veterans projects throughout Western New York. And they have an interest in assisting the town of Wheatfield on our Veterans Memorial. And they said they are able to commit as much as $20,000 towards our efforts. They said it would be a very good start to our project, and certainly we would be very appreciative of that to help in the funding of it. We need to get a letter of application to them by mid-July, which is being taken care of. The second part of that is Peter Lotz, who displays birds at the Wheatfield Town Picnic. You've seen them if you've gone to the town picnic. He was able to obtain an eagle, which he will be able to show this year. So maybe we can get our two eagles together, the one that's over by Cobblestone and
Sharon's backyard.
Yep. As I understand it, though, this is the only eagle available for display purposes in all of Western New York. That's it.
Okay, we'll go down to Gil.
I have some correspondence from Burkle's Fire Company. They'd like to add Rick Mullins, Gregory Felstat, James Richards, and Ian Tone to their active roster, and I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's good news, too. Thank you.
And that's it.
Okay, Randy?
On the Chinese lanterns, did that farmer call me? Is that her name, Mia?
Oh, me?
Yeah, did that farmer call you? I gave him your number and your extension, and I was just wondering if he did call you after he stopped by and... Okay.
I was going to follow up with this, so...
I got his number now, so I'll give it to you after the meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
That's it?
Yep.
I do have three things, I guess. Planning Board put out a notice that on June 17th at 6:30 p.m. here in this room, they'll be discussing another project from Empire Pipeline, and this is a public information meeting that you can attend. It's public information, not a public hearing, correct? This has to do with a smaller pipeline and a station, is that the right word for it? A metering station that they wish to put onto the area along Walmore Road, just on the other side of the railroad tracks. There's a line where they're going to connect an 8-inch line that goes from Indicon underground, follows along the creek, and I think it goes under the railroad tracks, if I recall, and then the meeting has to do with the actual station, the metering station. And they're also going to be putting the Stinkum in, the Mercaptan at that station. So that's the opportunity for anybody who wishes to comment, to hear what they have to say and comment before it goes through the planning board.
No, Bob, this is a completely separate project than the other one, or these pipes don't touch each other, right?
Same group, totally separate project.
Okay.
It does come from the same source. The big line that goes along by Indicon is where they're getting their source fuel from.
Okay, so it's a stub off of the main Empire line, probably?
Right, exactly. July 17th, we're talking about having Drescher and Malecki come here and give us our annual discussion on the budget. They've finished the audit. It is not published yet. That'll probably not happen until about that same meeting time. But I'd like to call to change that meeting to 7:15, a public information meeting, with probably Matt Montalvo, possibly Tom Malecki here presenting the audit to the public. The third thing, Deborah, can I talk to you for a moment? Are you willing to work with me or us if we have the engineer and Paul Sigmund work together to come up with possibilities? Are you willing to form a group where we can get together, take a look at these possibilities, take a look at the good side, the bad side of this or that? Not necessarily to proceed, but at least to be able to make a recommendation to the board? Would you be willing to work on that? You would. Can you stick around after the meeting and give me your personal information so I can get a hold of you? Or write it down and just hand it to me, whatever's good for you. Thank you. That's all I have, so if there's nothing else, we do have a meeting on June 22nd, 7:30. It's a regular town board meeting. At this moment, it looks like we don't have any preliminaries. We also have a public information here on the 29th. That's the one that Julie was talking about, 7 o'clock p.m. That will probably be at the community center. I think we have the community center for that evening. And that has to do with the public information, not public hearing, but public information meeting having to do with rezoning of Niagara Falls Boulevard. So that'll be really important to people who live on the boulevard or own businesses on the boulevard to let us know what they're thinking before we actually finalize drawings and have the final public hearing. That is a matter of changing law, so we will have to have another public hearing before we actually finalize it. That's all I have, so we'll go back to public input. Paul?
Can I say one thing?
Please.
I made a mistake earlier. I said I wanted to send thank you letters to the truck companies that called that the milling stores. I have been listening. Right now, I'd like to publicly acknowledge them for doing that.
Please do, but can you do it at the microphone? The reason I keep asking about microphone is although you can speak and we may be able to hear you, these are podcasts. People can go on and listen to these casts, and they can't hear it talking from the floor. That's why we ask for the microphones.
The 5 companies that donated their time and their drivers was Greg Lloyd, G.J. Lloyd Trucking, Jim Growy, Site Services, Randy Retzloff donated a truck from Moran Trucking, and Dan Beck from Beck & Sons, and also Mark Cerrone Trucking donated their time. And the guy that came in to load them that day was John Stolting, whose father was extremely sick and actually passed away the very next day, but he felt very strongly about getting this project done. So thank you very much for your time and your material and your guys.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, we're back to public input, so this is anybody's opportunity to speak on any subject. Mrs. Fryer?
Donna Fryer, Bear Road. If, I've asked for this before, if everybody could come to a mic, it would make it so much easier. You know, there's other people that are behind you talking and stuff, and identify themselves. Some of the people that spoke tonight didn't identify themselves, or what was their reason about the signs or whatever. If they could just be a little more explicit. I go to other meetings and they always make you use a mic and identify yourself.
Thank you for the comment. Anybody else? If nothing else,